Are your nail enhancements lifting way too soon? Well, you're not alone. In this video, I'm breaking down some big mistakes that could cause lifting and exactly how to fix them so your nails can last weeks instead of days. You see how distant is debris off of here? Some people intend to do this only and they think that's all they need to remove that debris. But we'll get further into that and how to avoid missing out on removing all that debris. So let's move into the first mistake. Sometimes we might be overfiling and sometimes we might be underfiling. Either one of those can lead to lifting. Now, when it comes to filing that nail, we're only removing the natural oil off of that nail plate. That's it. And also, when you're in that cuticle area, you have to remove the cuticle, which is that excess skin that is sitting on top of the nail plate, which has literally been done here. A lot of times in a field, a lot of cuticle is visible. A lot of excess dead skin on top of the nail plate around the cuticle area is visible and it needs to be removed, especially after pushing the cuticle back or pushing the skin back to get that dead skin off of that nail plate. So when you do this, you'll do this on a low speed and you go in one direction and remove very gently what needs to be removed and just remove that excess oil off of the skin. Now, one rule of thumb is what you do to one nail, you do to the other. Unless there's other things going on with the nails, again, what you do to one nail, you do to the other. Okay? So you'll see a closer up when I'm doing with this individual's pinky. It's the same thing, removing that excess skin off of that nail plate and then simply going in to remove that natural oil off of the nail plate. And that's that simple when it comes to filing. Again, we're not over filing or over e-filing, whatever you're using, whether you're using a hand file or an e-file. We are not overdoing it and we're not going to underdo it. You'll begin to easily see what really needs to be removed and what needs to be left alone. In this case, there's tons of dead skin on that, as you can see, and that's literally what's being removed. Yeah, remember at the beginning when I explained about just removing that debris with that brush, with a dust brush? Well, we're here now. Once we get to the part about removing the debris, we're not just removing the debris with that brush. Some individuals tend to think that's all we need to do. But sometimes, well, not sometimes, but in actuality, you need to remove pretty much all of it, right? And that brush isn't doing it. So we're going to take a 2x2 lint-free wipe, put your dehydrator on there, and wipe away those debris. Now, you can also use a nail brush and brush it towards the free edge as well using that dehydrator. But as you can see, this is how it is fully removed, okay? Now, there's a special dehydrator that I use. If you would like to know more details on that, check out the description to get further info on that, guys. Moving on to number 3, the third mistake. So we're going to get into the primer. First off, don't forget the primer. And overall, remember to put the primer on that natural nail plate. And also, the most important, do not overuse primer. You can put too much primer and then you want to put enough and make sure you're not underusing it. All right, so now the nails are primed, fully prepped, ready to go for that acrylic. Just beautiful. Okay, number 4, which is a bonus, is going to be bead ratio, especially in the cuticle area. But bead ratio is big. It's important. And don't forget, remove that debris, y'all, before we get to this acrylic portion. Now, it's getting up close and personal, y'all. We love making over here. And we got a date with Patty. Now, once we place that bead on top of that nail, you'll soon see a closer shot of how this will be getting done. I would like to explain first, when you fully immerse that brush in the liquid monomer, you wipe one side and then you dip that brush in the acrylic powder on the opposite side. See? And there is a formula to go by when it comes to the bead ratio. If you'd like to know further information on that, check that description. There's more details on this, all right? So once we place this bead on there, you're gonna pat. Remember on that day with Patty, you're gonna pat it and pat so that acrylic can begin to form in the proper direction and it doesn't go back and flood the cuticles, okay? Because once the beads begin to cure, or the acrylic alone begins to cure, it does kind of rise, which means it's going to float in the cuticle area a little bit, which is why it's important to leave that space in between the natural nail in the cuticle area, okay? So, okay, so we're even closer. Here's another viewpoint of placing that cuticle bead on the nail. We're gonna wipe away, and then again, patting, pat. We're on a day with Patty, y'all. Wipe, blend, wipe, and blend. We're on a day with Patty. I'm gonna show you again so you can be able to get a fuller expression of what is going on here. Again, there comes a technique with this, and this is a part of that technique when it comes to getting that bead ratio. See, there is a space in between. That way, when this acrylic cures, it does not rise into the cuticle and over flood, which can cause lifting, okay? All right. So, I think y'all get the point now. Again, those of you who don't know, you also want to kind of keep in mind of not making it put in too much product, especially in the cuticle area, okay? So that's another thing to keep in mind. So we're going to place that bead on top. Remember, we're not placing it all the way down. There's that space. I know y'all see that space. And we're pat. That is sealing off this acrylic, okay? We're sealing it off. That is literally sealing that off with the acrylic brush. And another important tip, the brush makes all the difference too. So if you don't know, make sure you get a quality brush. 100% Kolinsky is good. All right? But overall, if you want a step-by-step guide for a great nail prep and technique, go ahead and check out in the description below. If you're ready to master long-lasting nail enhancements, check out the description. There's a Nail Ebook in that description. There's also a workshop you can check out as well to get that personal one-on-one. Just check that link in the description, y'all. Now, did any of these mistakes surprise you? If so, comment down below which one you've been making. And if so, go hit that like button. All right? Stay tuned, y'all, to see many more things to help out with. All right? Till next time.